Hello and welcome to Conversations. This is a series of interviews we record on site, in person, from around the world, talking to different air cargo and logistic leaders. And we are in Dubai attending the IATA World Cargo Symposium. And I have with me Zvi Schreiber, CEO of Freightos. Zvi, great to have you for this conversation.
Good to be here, Reji.
Let's start with the performance of Freightos in 2024. What are the key highlights that you would like to pick up of the performance of the company? It's listed for the year 2024, and what is your outlook for 2025? Given the kind of uncertainty in global trade, are you being very conservative in your outlook?
Well, that's a situation which is changing on a daily basis,
Yes.
so it's hard to know. We had a great year in 2024. If you look at, we're a platform. We connect buyers and sellers of freight, airline and forwarders, ocean liners and forwarders and shippers. But we're here in, the World Cargo Symposium, so we'll focus on airlines. We did last year well over 1 million transactions, most of them in air cargo. And so that was a big achievement. By the time we got to Q4, the run rate of the value of the transactions was over $1 billion. This year, we hope to do well over $1 billion worth of transactions. So the airlines and other carriers, but many airlines will get well over $1 billion of revenue through our platform this year. And all of that is, high value, low cost transactions because it's highly automated. So this industry is finally digitizing. And finally, because passengers have been digital for 25 years, but air cargo is now finally going digital on a real scale. And that scale is becoming more every year. But then you asked me multiple questions, really. So, tariffs, we don't know the impact yet. They're changing very rapidly. We know that world trade isn't going anywhere, but it might be a headwind. It may, for us, we'll still only digitize a small percentage of the market. So we have a huge, regardless what happens with the Trump tariffs, there's a huge opportunity. Digitization is the big trend. But tariffs could be a headwind, which slow us down a little.
But Zvi, are you happy with the pace of digitalization in the air cargo industry? And this is a conversation we had several times in the last several years.
Yeah. Look, I can't say I'm happy. I wish it would go faster. But still, it's real, till 2020, 2021, there was really nothing happening, at least in terms of rates and booking, maybe e-airway bill was happening. But we're interested in how's the capacity distributed, how's the rates, how do people find a rate, how do people book? 5 years ago, there was nothing. It was almost zero. And now we're talking about well over, hopefully close to 1.5 million transactions this year. So that's a real start. So I can't say I'm happy with the pace because there's still millions of offline transactions, but it's real progress.
Let's talk about some of your product and also likely product launches or enhancement of your already deployed SaaS programs. Yeah. If you can share some of the details.
Yeah, a couple of things. So since we're at WCS in Dubai, let me start with what we're offering to airlines. And I spoke about this on stage yesterday. We have an exciting new offering for dynamic pricing. This is a big issue in air cargo. The airlines are still pricing with a human being put a number in the spreadsheet. In most cases, there are 2 or 3 exceptions, but most airlines, the prices are still semi-static. So a few years ago, the prices were completely static. They had a summer price and a winter price. So now they update it, once a month, once a week. But it's still a human being sitting down once a week or going like that and sort of putting a number in the spreadsheet. So it's kind of ironic because thousands of times a day, we talk to the airlines through an API, nice digital connection. And behind their API is just an Excel spreadsheet with a price that a human being invented a week ago.
And they're still ingesting those numbers.
Yeah, and so they get the price wrong. Some of the airlines, I showed an example in my talk. Some of the airlines, when the market price is $2 a kilo, they're charging $5 a kilo, and they don't get any bookings. And then the other airlines charging $1 a kilo when the market is quite willing to pay $2 a kilo. Okay. This is a big difference. There's hundreds of percent in the revenue. And so the airline industry is still, and in passenger, they've had this dynamic pricing for years already, But in air cargo, they're still getting the price very wrong. It's still semi-static, and in a world which is changing every day. And you mentioned the tariffs. So, suddenly there's a tariff threatened in 3 days, and the people are rushing through air cargo, and most of the airlines are not responding. They're not increasing their price. Or suddenly the tariff's already in. Now maybe shipping from China is down, and they're still trying to charge a price that was relevant, last week when everyone's trying to sort of front load. Yeah. So things are moving quickly. The prices have to move quickly. So that's a major offering that we're developing with our airline partners is dynamic pricing based on data, based on AI, which we're training AI to actually measure the willingness to pay and the sensitivity to price. AI is very good at that kind of analysis. So that's one major development with the airlines. Another major development with the airlines is interlining. Most of the airlines we talk to, 10%, sometimes 15% of their revenues from interlining between airlines. But the interlining is done in a very old-fashioned way. It's email. Every single interline booking emails back and forth, and then there's time zones, so it gets delayed till the next day. So interlines is another major initiative. And then we have things which have nothing to do with air cargo. We're just relaunched a whole brand new version of our ocean SaaS. Yeah. And which is now fully multimodal, so you can do air and ocean and road and rail all on the same system. So that's another major initiative for us today, or this year, is relaunching our SaaS suite in a fully multimodal way.
Okay, Zvi, you were on stage yesterday and you were talking about the AI-driven innovations in air cargo and how they are enhancing efficiencies and accuracy in cargo operations. Can we deep dive into a little more in terms of understanding where is the application of or use case of AI in air cargo?
Yeah, I think there are several areas, from designing the network to loading a specific plane. That would be a very specialized AI, not a large language model like ChatGPT, but a specialized AI for loading the plane. So those are all very interesting, but that's not our expertise. Our expertise is pricing and booking. Yeah. So for us, we see the most important, within our world of as a booking platform, we see dynamic pricing as the most important application of AI. And it's very important for the airlines. Like I said, this is billions of dollars being wasted when the price is wrong. Part of the problem with air cargo is that most of these airlines are primarily passenger airlines. Yeah. And so they kind of get lazy in a way, and they say, this plane's flying anyway for the passengers, and whatever revenue I get from cargo is kind of extra, which is understandable. Unless it's a freighter, then it's a whole different story. But if it's half the cargo or more is going on a passenger plane, and they get a little bit lazy because it's mainly driven by passenger revenue. But even if cargo is only 10 or 20% of the revenue on that flight, you should still maximize it, So and that can only be done if you automate and if you update on a daily basis, or even soon on an hourly basis. So I think that's from within our world, that's the most exciting application of AI.
We have had several interactions in the past about the technology adoption, digital transformation of the air cargo industry. But have you seen a significant change in the mindset in terms of there is much more focus and much more clarity on what air cargo industry players want to do in terms of digital transformation, and they're much more tuned to the commercial success of the business?
Yeah, they are more, no doubt. There's still a way to go, but if you looked here at the IATA WCS conference, the digitalization track had the biggest room, and it was it was given priority. Like I said, we see real volume just on our platform. We should do 1.5 million bookings this year, and there's some other platforms as well. They're smaller than us, but still, there's so I'm sure there'll be 2 million digital bookings on platform. The airlines have their own websites which are growing. We speak to airlines who now do, at least in Europe, but sometimes in other areas as well, they're now doing 50, 60, 70% bookings are digital. So yeah, there's there's not just more talk, but there is real digitalization going on. Airway bills are now majority electronic. Bookings in some airlines are majority electronic. So it's happening. Still a way to go, but yeah, there's real progress.
We have seen a kind of spike and acceleration of digitalization of the air cargo industry during the pandemic, because sometimes the industry look for or a disruption from outside to really enhance their capabilities on the technology. Those who were ahead of the curve, they were better prepared to deal with the pandemic and the after effects. We are now going through a scenario where you have constantly evolving trade tariffs and there is an uncertainty. Do you see that technology is going to play a significant role in terms of much more of accurate information coming to them? Is data going to play a significant role in terms of understanding and probably kind of repositioning their strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what you said is right. I mean, during the pandemic, if I refer back what I said 3 minutes ago, that one of the issues with a lot of the airlines is they're so focused on passengers that cargo is kind of an afterthought. During the pandemic, there were no passengers. Suddenly they focused on cargo a lot more, right? And yeah, for sure, it's the same thing with the tariffs. I mean, President Trump wakes up one morning and says, next weekend there's going to be a tariff on, whatever it is, Vietnam. So everyone's quickly trying to fly the stuff from Vietnam before the weekend. And some airlines, not many, there are a few airlines who are responding quickly and hiking their price to Vietnam and making a lot of revenue, which is important because next week the shipments will be down. So it's a very short opportunity. Other airlines still responding slowly and missing the opportunity to get a higher price. And then the next week, suddenly the tariff comes in place. So shipments from Vietnam are down. And then you've got the airlines who say, okay, now we're going to be cheap and, because there's less demand. And the other airlines still trying to charge a price that's last week's price, which is completely irrelevant now that the tariff's in place. So absolutely, the few airlines who've got dynamic pricing will do better. But what we can offer them, because even the airlines who have dynamic pricing, they're only looking at their own data, but we have data now from 70 airlines and 4,000 freight forwarders. So we can offer them a level of data on a daily basis, which is much more than any airline has on their own. So that's what's the unique value add of a platform like Web Cargo by Freightos. Yeah.
What are the current technology trends that you're observing and which probably would have a very significant impact on the air cargo industry's operations? AI for sure, but what are the other technology trends that you're noticing?
Well, look, AI is all encompassing. I mean, that is the technology which is going to drive everything that's happening in the world in the next few years. Now, through AI, because of AI, also there are advancements in robotics, so you can do a lot of that. But it's not my expertise, so I don't want to talk about that. But of course, it's all driven by AI. I mean, we've had big data, we've had cloud computing. That's already a given. Those aren't trends anymore. That's already the norm. So I think all the airlines have a lot of data. They have it's all in the cloud, in most cases. So now, the other, it's all related to AI a bit, but AI for dynamic pricing, AI for driving robots, AI for developing software. Software development is changing because AI is very good at writing software. So whereas, the world sort of in-house software to, developing software is too complicated, we need to buy off-the-shelf software. Now people can afford to create more customized software again, or we can create more customized software for our customers because software development's become more agile because of AI.
Zvi, the final question, what does the future of freight look like considering the current socio-political and technological trends?
Well, I think, let me ignore the current, political economic trends, because I think that they're transitory. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if President Trump will withdraw or not. But either way, it's 4 years maximum, so I assume, unless he gets a third term, right? So world trade isn't going anywhere. But technology trends are moving in an interesting direction. I think for us, the key is end-to-end. Up to now, it was connect the airline to the freight forwarder, connect the ocean line to the freight forwarder, connect the freight forwarder to the shipper. Now it's all the way through, so that when the freight forwarder, when the shipper searches for a rate, the rate goes from the airline to the forwarder to the shipper in the same second. When the shipper presses book, it goes from the shipper to the freight forwarder to the airline. So it's the end-to-end digitalization which is key. That's what we're really focused on.
Zvi, thank you so much. It's been always a pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure.